Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Russell Dude YouTube channel. Before we get started, spoiler warning. 100% spoiler warning. We're going to talk about it all. Spoiler warning. If you do not want spoilers for this movie, exit the video, go watch another one of my videos instead. After you've seen the movie, come back to this one, and we'll talk about it all together. Spider-Man No Way Home was fine. Fucking incredible, nostalgic entertainment. Fine. This was awesome! I'm sorry I had to do the whole clickbait sort of thumbnail with you, but if it got you interested in watching, then hey, let me know in the comment section below. If you're mad that I had to do it, let me know in the comment section below. Either way, let's talk about it. And let's talk about this movie, because it was fucking awesome, and it was really awesome to finally get to see it. This has been a movie that I've been very hyped for a long time. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Spider-Man, especially the older Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But this Spider-Man movie has been the talk of the town for Marvel for a long time. Like, sure, all the Disney Plus shows have been talked about, but this is kind of the big one that has been talked about for a long time in terms of, like, you know, rumors and stuff, like what's going to happen, who's going to show up, and obviously we know all the... Let's just get it out of the way right now. They're in it. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in it. Like, they show up. Like, this has been rumored for, I think, like 2 years now. And, yeah, Alfred Molina's in it. Doc Ock is in it. They're the same person. Doc Ock is in it. Green Goblin's in it. Lizard's in it. Sandman's in it. Electro's in it. Venom is in it. He's not in it. Doctor Strange is sort of in it. Let's just talk about all this stuff. So Spider-Man No Way Home takes place right after Far From Home, and we get pretty much immediately right where we left off with that story and kind of the outcome of all that stuff. And from the beginning, it is just a lot of insane stuff with, like, paparazzi and stuff coming after Peter, and, like, going to school is very weird. And they get themselves a lawyer, which turns out to be Daredevil. Like, I was in a theater where, like, you would think, like, all these big reveals would get, like, a super big reaction, but everyone was so quiet because all this stuff has been so heavily rumored and stuff like that, and there have been so many leaks of stuff, which thankfully I was able to stay away from quite a few of them, but there's been so much stuff leaked about what's in the movie already, like so many plot leaks and the photos taken, behind the scenes stuff has been leaked that, like, it's basically become, like, the worst kept secret in Hollywood for, like, such a long time. The only way I can compare it is recently in the world of pro wrestling, which obviously I pay a lot of attention to, in AEW, the wrestler CM Punk came back to pro wrestling after being away for 7 years, and the week leading up to his return on the big, like, show, they never advertised that he was going to be on the show, but, like, there were, like, so many hints being dropped here and there by him and the company and all this stuff. It was basically just the worst kept secret in wrestling. And after he came back, he basically admitted that was kind of by design, to be the worst kept secret in pro wrestling, because they didn't want it to be just out there like, hey, I'm coming back, but they wanted to give enough hints to get everybody excited, to the point where when he showed up for the first time in 7 years, Cult of Personality hits, the entire crowd went crazy. It also helped that they were in his hometown of Chicago, Illinois, but I'm pretty sure the crowd would have been crazy regardless. But yeah, I feel like if all the secrets of this movie were kept under wraps, I feel like we probably would have gotten that same type of reaction as, like, people got when Endgame showed Captain America picking up Thor's hammer. Like, if that would have leaked before the movie came out, I feel like that would have been a big bummer for people. All the leaks being out there and all the stuff being out there aside, I was still very hyped for this movie because I was so excited to see all 3 Spider-Men. on screen. All three live action Spider-Man, I should say. There's still the Miles Morales stuff, which he does get a name drop in here, or sort of a mention in here, which was very awesome. But yeah, Daredevil shows up. He's Peter's lawyer, kind of gets him out of the legal issues, shows off a little bit of his agility, catching a brick that flies through the window, so that sets him up, obviously, for the future. And if you guys have been watching Hawkeye, which I'm certain you are, otherwise, why the hell are you watching this video? Kingpin has now been introduced in the MCU, so that's Daredevil and MCU's Kingpin now in the same universe together. That's awesome. I'm excited to see where the hell those characters go now that they're in the MCU. And then obviously, as we've probably seen from the trailers, Spider-Man goes to Doctor Strange trying to get a spell done so everyone forgets that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, yada yada yada. Everything goes haywire. A bunch of Spider-Man villains show up in the universe. But this is the crazy thing. So Spider-Man goes out getting all these villains, like, stuck in these little pods, and Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, is the easiest to catch out of all of them because he just finds them at Feast with Aunt May, and Spider-Man tells Aunt May that he has to basically kill them all, send them all back to their universes where they'll be killed. And Aunt May, this is the point in the movie where I kind of looked at Aunt May and I went, you sure about that? Where she tells Peter, you need to help these people. You can't just send them back to die. You need to help, like, rehabilitate these people. You need to help fix them. Which, when that happened, I was just like, Aunt May, they're not from this universe. Hell, the universes that they are in, they probably tried to kill you. I know Doc Ock did, like, in this one, which later on, I'll get into it later on, but Doc Ock has a very funny line with Aunt May. But yeah, that's basically what Peter does. He steals Doctor Strange's little magic cube, traps Doctor Strange over the Grand Canyon in a span of webs, and that puts Doctor Strange out of the movie for a long, long time, which I was interested to see, like, how the hell does Doctor Strange kind of tie into all this? Like, you would think that he would be there helping fight the villains and stuff like that, but no, that's not how it works. Spider-Man frees all the villains, brings them back to Happy's house, where he just helps, like, rehabilitate some of them. Like, he helps put together, like, a new inhibitor chip on the back of Doc Ock and makes him be able to control the tentacles, which makes Doc Ock a good guy, which is awesome. Sandman's there, and he's just kind of an ally to Spider-Man, which is very cool. And I was very surprised that they actually got the actual actor back to play Sandman, because in the trailers and everything, we never heard him talk or his, like, human form or anything like that. He was just like a wall of sand. I was very interested to see how the hell they have him kind of turn bad, which the way that they do it, I guess, is kind of fine. Like, the entire time he's there, he's just like, look, man, I just want all this stuff to be over. I want to be sent back home, and I want to go see my daughter. And then at some point, Peter basically says, like, I'm going to fix you guys, and then we're going to send you back. So Sandman's like, all right, cool. He's going to fix us all, and then we can all go back home. And then later on, Green Goblin gives this whole speech where, like, you're not going to cure us. You know, gods don't have to change or give up their special gifts or whatever. And that kind of changes Sandman's mind to where it's like, you know what, he's kind of right. I just want to get home to my daughter, and these guys are kind of the best bet that I have to get that done. That was interesting. Lizard, I feel like out of all of them, Lizard kind of has the most nothing role to do in this movie. He's kind of just there, which, I mean, again, I was very surprised that they actually got the actor back to voice him. I thought he was literally just going to be, like, all roars and stuff, and I thought they were going to explain it away, like, oh, when he traveled through the portal, something fucked up his vocal cords or something like that. I don't know. They have Jamie Foxx with a full head of hair. I mean, come on, you can do different stuff like that. But yeah, Jamie Foxx's Electro was very, very fun in this movie. All the characters are fun. All of them are pretty freaking awesome. But yeah, Norman Osborn does the heel turn. He turns into the Green Goblin, which takes us into a very awesome fight scene between him and the Green Goblin, or between him and Spider-Man in the little condo, where Green Goblin powerbombs Spider-Man through several fucking floors. It was awesome. And then the Lizard tosses Spider-Man back into the building, where Green Goblin proceeds to hit a spine buster on Spider-Man through the remainder of the floors before they get down to the lobby. Then that's when Aunt May gets involved and attacks Green Goblin. Then Green Goblin's glider hits Aunt May. Green Goblin throws a pumpkin bomb, blows up, and it nearly blows up Aunt May. But if anything, the glider stabs Aunt May, which was another rumor that was kind of talked about, that Aunt May will die in this film, and that's what ends up happening. So R.I.P. to Aunt May. But this is where I'll talk about the great line that Doc Ock had. It was while Spider-Man had control of his limbs, and he was wrapped him up sitting in the kitchen, and Aunt May walks up to Doc Ock asking him if he wants water, and Doc Ock says, "Yes, I am very thirsty," while he's looking at super hot Marissa Tomei Aunt May. And I'm sitting there in the theater listening to him say this, and I'm just like, oh, yes, you are. Because if you remember the old Aunt May in Doc Ock's universe, that was not Marissa Tomei. This is Marissa Tomei. And yeah, it was a very sad moment having Aunt May pass away like that. But hey, she got out the line with great power comes great responsibility. So, and that comes back later on when we get the whole thing with all the Peter Parkers, which ends up coming up next. Ned and MJ are talking about, like, they need to help Peter, they need to find Peter, and Eddie, fucking Ned, whatever, has like one of Doctor Strange's rings. And earlier in the film, like, Ned talked to Doctor Strange about, like, there's sort of like magic that runs in my families. I usually get a tingle in my hand sometimes. And I thought, like, huh, that's a weird line. And then he actually is magic. He makes a portal, and he does it wishing that he could find Peter Parker. And the portal opens, and a Peter Parker does come through, but it's Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker / Spider-Man. And again, my theater was not all like, woohoo, woohoo, oh my god, yes. We were all just silent. We were just all watching it happen. And let me tell you, after watching both of the Amazing Spider-Man films, this is the funnest Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man has been throughout either of them. And I forgot how tall Andrew Garfield is, like, especially now compared to all the other actors, because, like, I'm looking at him and I'm like, dude, you are fucking tall. And then obviously he proves that he's Spider-Man, and so Ned tries to do the portal thing again. This is when we get Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the film. And I got the biggest smile on my face when I saw Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Obviously, like I said, he's my favorite Spider-Man, but he's also sort of like his way of acting and stuff like that. Not acting, but sort of like the way he carried himself as Peter Parker kind of influenced sort of like my early days. Like, I had my hair combed over the same way. I would sort of dress very nice. I wore similar glasses, you know. I never went through the whole emo phase with like my hair combed over and doing like finger guns and stuff like that. But yeah, he was my absolute favorite Spider-Man, and I don't think anybody has been able to top being my favorite Spider-Man since him. And that's saying something with all the awesome Spider-Man content that there is out there. I think the only one that comes close is maybe Spider-Man PS4. Spider-Man PS4 is a very good Spider-Man to me. And Miles Morales, he's a very good one as well. But I feel like we haven't really gotten a lot of really good Miles Morales stuff yet, since Into the Spider-Verse was kind of his origin story, you know. Usually the origin story is kind of the weakest part, but actually that's kind of funny considering I think Spider-Man 1 is my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. But we'll talk about that another time. Right now we gotta gush over this whole Spider-Man universe thing. So all the Spider-Men meet up on the rooftop of the school, and they're talking to each other about their experiences. You know, one Spider-Man losing Gwen, one Spider-Man losing Uncle Ben, and now this Spider-Man losing Aunt May. And then Peter, MCU Peter, starts to say with great power, and then Toby says comes great responsibility, and then they kind of say, like, holy crap, that's the same thing that all of our parental figures said, like, the day that they died. So basically that's kind of like an absolute point in history, sort of like the death of Tony Stark or the death of like Doctor Strange's like girlfriend or whatever from the What If episode. It's an absolute point in time. At some point, some parental figure of Peter Parker is going to say with a great power comes great responsibility, and then they're going to die. So that's awesome. And then we get this whole sequence of the Spider-Men working together to create cures for each of the villains in the lab, and that's where we get the whole pointing meme. Honestly, I kind of wish it would have been a lot more like the ones in like the fan art with like all of them and their costumes pointing at each other, but I was okay with it with this one. It was still very funny. And yeah, we get some nice back and forth with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and Tobey Maguire gets to show off his actual like webs coming from his wrists, whereas the other two have like the wrists electronic gadgets. It's just very fun stuff. Anything that involved Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, I was smiling ear to ear. My cheeks hurt after the movie was over. It was very fun. And then, yeah, they set up the final battle at the new and improved Statue of Liberty that is going to have the Captain America shield, which seemed very interesting, which, since it gets destroyed at the end of this movie, I guess we might not see a shot of it for a little while. Who knows? And then that's, yeah, where we get this final battle of all three Spider-Men fighting all these villains. And before the fight, we get more talk between all of the heroes, and we get so many great like lines. Like everything with the Spider Bros, that's what I'm calling them, the Spider Bros, is great. Tobey Maguire asking for Andrew Garfield to crack his back was amazing. Nice little callback to Spider-Man 2. We get the shot of Andrew Garfield like hand up on the bar, you know, like from the leaked thing that everyone was talking about, like, oh, it's a deepfake, it's CGI, it's real. No, it's real, it's not real. Obviously it is. And then they talk about like the craziest villains they fought. Tobey Maguire talks about how he fought Venom. MCU Peter Parker talks about how he fought Thanos. And then Andrew Garfield talks about, like, I'm nothing. And then Tobey Maguire makes him say, like, no, man, you're amazing. Like, come on, man, say it. You are amazing. It's like, I get it. Amazing Spider-Man. That's so much great interplay. I really wish we could get, like, a movie with just those three. Like, a table for three type of thing where they just all talk about their experiences as Spider-Man. I feel like that'd be great. I cannot wait for, like, the Blu-ray or whatever of this. I feel like there's so much deleted scene stuff between these three that probably got cut, and I would really love to see. But yeah, the fight goes on. Electro, Sandman, Lizard, they all get into the fight. We get the shot from the trailer, which obviously the other Spider-Men were CGI'd out of. We get the Spider-Men working together as a cohesive unit. It was so fucking sick seeing them all swing webs together. It was awesome. And then they eventually end up defeating them all one by one. Ned and MJ get up to the Statue of Liberty like structure. Doctor Strange comes back. MJ falls off the Statue of Liberty, and Andrew Garfield saves her, redeeming himself from when he couldn't save Gwen Stacy from falling from the clock tower. I did kind of notice, though, when he landed on the ground, it was kind of a weird, janky motion. I don't know if that's just how the CGI went, but I don't know. Something about how he landed seemed very weird. I made a joke to my brother after the movie, like, what if he did land like that, but still somehow, like, the force of landing so hard still broke MJ's neck? I don't know. Very dark humor moment for me there, but I don't know. It was just in the moment thinking. But yeah, the fight goes on. They cure all of them. Doc Ock comes in at one point to save all the Spider-Man. He gets a nice little moment with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And then the fight starts to end with Green Goblin and Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and MCU Spider-Man all fighting on like the fallen Captain America's shield, and MCU Spider-Man says he's gonna kill Green Goblin. He beats the shit out of Green Goblin, gets him down on his knees, goes to stab him with the glider, and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man jumps in to stop him, like, no, you can't go down this path, you can't be enraged. And Tobey gets stabbed by a Green Goblin. And I'm like, no, Tobey, please do not die, please. And then this is when, obviously, MCU Spider-Man cures Green Goblin. So now Green Goblin's just Norman Osborn now. He's back to his old self. Tobey, I guess, lives because at the end, like, Andrew Garfield goes to help him up, and like he just shrugs it off like, yeah, I've been stabbed before. Which, now that I think about it, I don't remember the last time Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was stabbed. He's been cut. I don't remember him ever being stabbed, so I don't know. But it looked like he was stabbed through the back, so he's definitely going to have some more back problems. But yeah, and then Spider-Man makes a new spell with Doctor Strange saying people won't forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but they will forget who Peter Parker is, which I did not see that coming. But this is during a point where there's a bunch of portals and tears and fabrics of time where all these characters are starting to like nearly cross through. And the only two that I were able to make out were Kraven the Hunter and classic suited Rhino. I saw those two. I don't know. If you guys saw any more of them, please let me know in the comment section below, because I feel like, I mean, obviously New Rockstars is probably going to do a video breaking down this, so I'll probably keep an eye out for that. But I'm excited to see who all was about to cross through that portal, because honestly, if it were some cool names, I really wish he probably would have kept that open a little bit longer for them to seep through. But yes, Doctor Strange casts the spell. You know, Peter says his goodbyes to everybody. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield go back to the universe, which, damn, man, it was so good to see him. It was very awesome. And it wasn't overly pandering, you know, in my opinion. Maybe some people feel different. But yeah, at the end of the film, everyone forgets that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Everyone forgets who Peter Parker is in general. Peter goes to Aunt May's grave. Happy's there, which somehow Happy doesn't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but I don't know. I was talking to my brother about this, and he said, like, if you think about it too much, obviously everything's not going to make sense. So I was like, fair enough. I'll throw it out there just to say it. But yeah, the film ends with Spider-Man moving into an apartment, which you heard a guy in the background saying, like, the rent is due at the end of the month. And as soon as I heard the word rent, I was like, rent? You know, the whole meme, which reminded me throughout this entire film, we never got one reference to pizza time. You know, I was talking to my brother how cool it would have been if they were all working together in the lab at the school, and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man shows up with a pizza, and he says, like, all right, everybody, pizza time. Let's get some food before the big fight. You know, that would have been funny. Who knows? Maybe that might have been crossing the line of too pandering to the audience. Who knows? But yeah, movie ends with Spider-Man getting an apartment, moving on. He does not choose to tell MJ that he is Peter Parker and Peter Parker is Spider-Man. They were best friends and lovers and stuff like that. And that's how the film ends. Peter Parker now has a fresh start. Nobody knows that he is Spider-Man, and nobody knows who Peter Parker is. And I guess we'll see what happens in the next film. But then after the movie's over, we get two post-credit scenes. One of them made me excited. The other one bummed me out. So if you guys saw the ending to Venom Let There Be Carnage, there was a cutscene where Venom got transported into the MCU. In this movie, they have another cutscene, end credit scene, with Venom and Tobey Maguire, or not Tobey Maguire, freaking Tom Hardy, at a bar discussing the MCU with the bartender and stuff like that. And then he just disappears. He just goes back to his old universe. And I'm just like, because honestly, I do like the Tom Hardy Venom movies, and I was excited to see Tom Hardy in this movie. And then he just never showed up, and I was just like, wait, what is going on? Then what is he doing now in the MCU? Is he just out there? And then it's like, no, he just gets teleported back. He learns about the Hulk, he learns about Thanos, he learns about Spider-Man and stuff like that, but you know, no, he just goes back to his universe. I was very bummed out. But he does leave behind a little bit of symbiote, a little bit of Venom. So we now have Venom somewhere in New Mexico. I think that's where Eddie and Venom fled. So New Mexico to New York to get the Spider-Man, to get that black suit at some point. Who knows? That was a very bumming scene. I don't know what the hell they were thinking about there. I don't know if maybe Venom was supposed to be a bigger part in this. I don't know. But yeah, it just kind of bummed me out to see him just in one post-credit scene go to the MCU, and then in one post-credit scene leave the MCU. After all this knowledge, I was like, wow, okay, that's all we get? Fine, cool, whatever. But the next post-credit scene, which really wasn't even like a post-credit scene, it was a post-credits trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, looked very fun. Obviously, we've got a lot of teases of that. There's some leaked Lego sets and stuff like that. But yeah, a film that I'm very much looking forward to. It seems like it's going to be very interesting. But overall, I feel like I would probably have to rank this in my top 5 of MCU movies of all time. It's so crazy how much this thing reshuffles. I reshuffled it again. I put Shang-Chi at like number 4. I think I put Black Widow at number 5, and then I moved some stuff around. I'm gonna have to really rethink this, because this one I really enjoyed just for the fact that it had all these like cool characters coming back, all the Spider-Men in it. Like I know I might be looking through it through nostalgia glasses, but honestly I feel like they were able to kind of teeter at all. This didn't feel like a Spider-Man 3 situation where there was just too much going on at once, or Amazing Spider-Man 2 where everything was just kind of very weirdly thought out, you know. But I think this was very good. Like I said, I'm excited to see what they do next with Spider-Man. Obviously, this is kind of his trilogy, so I don't know. I mean, they've done a Thor. They're doing a Thor quadrilogy, so who knows? Maybe we'll get one more Spider-Man film. But yeah, the MCU is back in full swing, pun intended, with, you know, Spider-Man swings on webs. You get the joke. But we've had Eternals. I didn't see Eternals, but I heard about all the important stuff, so I'm okay with that. I watched Shang-Chi, love Shang-Chi. My review for that is out if you want to check that out. We've obviously got Hawkeye ending. We got my little Ronin Funko Pop right there. I'm excited to see where all that goes with Kingpin and stuff like that. Daredevil's in the MCU. Venom was in the MCU. I guess the symbiote is in the MCU, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home, very awesome movie. Gets a thumbs up on its own just for having Tobey Maguire. Like I said, he's my favorite Spider-Man. So yeah, I'm excited to see where everything goes in the MCU next. But let me know what you guys thought of the film in the comments, and let me know what you guys want to see next for Spider-Man in the MCU. Let me know down below, and I will see you guys later.